All right. Hey, this is Malika of Evanston Live TV, and I have with me today the Executive Director of Northlight Theater, Tim Evans. Welcome.
Thank you, Malika. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yes, yes. I have to tell you, I think I am one of the most excited person that Northlight is coming because I come from a background of entertainment. And when I heard the Northlight was coming to Evanston, I was like, oh, my weekends are going to be hot because it's going to it's going to be theater and concert. And then, we got all our fabulous restaurants, which, sad to say, many have closed. And I'm upset because some of them were my favorites. Like Little Mexican Cafe would have been like, I would have been in heaven right there next door, right?
Right.
So yeah, so I am excited, and thank you guys for coming back to Evanston.
Well, thank you. Evanston is our home, and we started as the Evanston Theater Company back in 1975. So we're coming up on our 50th anniversary. We've been out here in Skokie for about 24 years at the Performing Arts Center, and but a while ago, probably about 10 years ago, our board of trustees and some studies that we did sort of suggested and pointed to us moving back to Evanston, and it felt like that was something that we needed to try and undertake, and so try we have, and we've tried for about 10 years to find the right place, the right combination of things, whether it's with a developer or on our own, what kind of theater, how big a theater, what the aspects of the theater want to be for the community. And I think we've cracked that at this point. And as you said, the new space will be on Church Street, just west of the metro station and the CTA station. So we're excited, right next to where the old Mexican Cafe used to be. And so that's the building that we're going to occupy. We're going to take the building down, and then we're going to build a new building there.
Yes, yes. I can't tell you how excited I am, because I know that this will bring revenue back into Evanston, because we took a hit like so many other cities due to the pandemic. And we've lost a lot of great shops and restaurants that, we all would frequent, were our favorites. And so I know, and from the community I've been hearing, that they really feel like this is a huge plus.
I'm delighted to hear that. And certainly we feel that way too. This has been a hard time for everybody, not just restaurants and theaters and hospitality, but individuals all over this community have been suffering, and I feel like, it felt like we were coming out of it in October, November, and then we got hit again, and that sort of shut everything else down. But I'm an optimistic person, and I think that I feel like we're about ready to round the corner. And one of the things that Northlight's eager to do is to come back to Evanston, build our theater, open it up for the community, welcome people in. We bring about 50,000 people through our doors every year, and that's 50,000 people that will go out and dine and go to retail and buy books and stay in hotels. And I think all of those things we can help to be a destination driver and help in the recovery of downtown Evanston. I've been a resident for 43 years, live in the 5th Ward, and I have for probably the last 25 of those years. And you just see the downtown in a way that you've never seen it before. And we need to get people back downtown. And I think that it's important that that they come. Building a theater is not an easy undertaking, but as we know, the movie theaters, when they first came, generated a lot of people downtown and really helped with the economic structure and the economic development of downtown. So we hope we can do the same thing.
Mm, mm. And you come, I mean, before Northlight, you were a producer at Steppenwolf. So you know the game, you know the business of theater and how it's all done.
Yes, and in fact, I was at Steppenwolf around the time that they built their, which is now their old theater, but it's the theater that they've just added on to on Halsted Street. So when they first built that theater back in 1991, I was there and did the marketing and communications piece of this, a piece of that, and it totally transformed the community and the neighborhood there. It was kind of an empty neighborhood, and you see it now. Steppenwolf was the generator of a lot of that growth in that area. And so I've seen it. I think we can do the same thing. We're giving it our all to do that, because Evanston is a special place, and whatever we can do to add to that specialness, then that's what we hope to do.
Evanston is a very special place. I've lived other places in the country, and I'm back here in Evanston. Evanston, nothing else compares. Like, there's beauty in LA and Atlanta, New York, New Orleans, all these wonderful cities, but something about Evanston is very special. You just can't get that sense of community. I don't get that sense of community anywhere else that I've been.
Totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's a very unique place.
Yes. So when you all do come here, because the economy has been, we've been struggling. A lot of people have been struggling, not just worried about their health and their families, but economically. And it's like a new reality. Things have changed. How everything has changed. We'll probably wear masks for the rest of our lives. I just get the feeling that's become a new reality for us. And how we work remotely, everything has changed. And a lot of people lost work. So my question to Northlight, because you all have a reputation, you're a great theater company, how will you be engaging the community as far as employment? Because I'll tell you, I did speak to a couple of, employees that you have staff there, and I was desperately trying to get them to hire community engagement right out of Evanston, because we have a ton of community engagement people here, and you guys chose to go with someone from Texas. And then your diversity consultant, I tried to push, we have a ton of diversity consultants here in Evanston. And then someone from Wisconsin was chosen. So please tell us that when you guys, even now, you don't have to wait until the building is built, but can you, start giving Evanston community some love in terms of employment? Or
Oh, sure, of course. And a matter of fact, we have probably 15% of our staff that lives in Evanston. We just actually hired a young gentleman who is now on our staff, ETHS graduate and Evanston resident. We have a few more hires that we're looking at right now. One of them's a financial bookkeeping position. Another is an HR position. We're actually working with a group in Evanston, a hiring group in Evanston, to make sure that we target Evanston residents. And I want to say it's called the Next Group. Does that sound familiar?
I've heard of them, yes.
So specifically so that we can do that. But when we get to Evanston, there's two levels of hiring that we see happening. One is that when we get to Evanston, or before we get there, we need to gear up, because we're going to run a different kind of organization, and there'll be many jobs that we don't have right now that we're going to need to employ people. They range from professional jobs, staffing jobs, to box office, house management, technical stuff for the theater piece of this, maintenance, facility work. Our plan is to have a job fair for Evanstonians before we even start the hiring process, so that we can find the Evanston residents that that we can hire. And I think that we'll start to gear that up probably about 18 months. Before we get there, there'll be construction that we're going to be doing. We're gonna probably demolition the building in the next 6 months or so, and then we're going to about a year later break ground to build the theater. And we have a plan that we want to meet all of the standards of hiring in terms of the MWEBE goals that that the city of Evanston has. We want to meet and exceed those goals. And so we have specific language in our contract with our general contractor that that states that they have to hit certain goals, and we need to hit certain goals. The other piece that I think we're really,
what are some of those goals so people will understand? Well, what are some of the goals?
so I think one of the goals, of course, in terms is 25% of hiring for minority women in Evanston residents and businesses. That'll be 25% of the employment of the construction piece of this. And we think that there should be about 25 full-time on-site construction jobs. So you know, we also hire teaching artists. We have about 25 teaching artists that are part of our stable. Some of them are Evanstonians, but primarily we feel like we're going to be an Evanston theater company, and now's the time to start to pivot towards Evanston hiring. We do, you know, we do want to create a pipeline, and we want to create a pipeline for younger people. So we're working with MEAC right now for high school kids to have basically shadowing and internships here. We'll do that also with Evanston residents as we get a little closer. But we feel like there needs to be a logical pipeline for and a productive pipeline for jobs in this business. It's kind of a specialized business, as you know, Malika. You've been in it, and you know that there are certain things that you know are required of some of our positions, but they're teachable skills and they're learnable skills, and so, but you know, we'll do everything we can to make sure that happens. Like I said, we're working now specifically with an Evanston-based hiring recruitment firm, and their focus is Evanston residents and placing Evanston residents. So.
Now, see, we appreciate hearing that. We appreciate hearing that. I'm like,
Sure.
they're coming to Evanston, they got to hire some Evanstonians.
No
We've got
question
to
about it.
be behind the scenes making things happen. And then, you know, Evanston is known, we're known for our diversity, our inclusion. Some people consider Evanston drive-by. I've heard drive-by diversity, that it's not real. So how will Northlight, because I mean, I've been to Northlight Productions in Skokie, and I went to one at Good to Go recently. And so, you know, majority of your audience, let's keep it real, majority is, you know, white, white people. And the talent that I've been to see have been Black. So it's like all the Black people are on the stage, and then you have all the white people in the audience. So it, you know, it feels a little different when you're sitting in the audience and you're a person of color. So how do you all intend to change that? I mean, you were talking about the contractors. You know, there's plenty of Black contractors needing work, especially right now. The business of theater. You know, Black people are wonderful creative people, but we're also business minded behind the scenes as well. And so I'm just wondering what is Northlight's plan for that? Because I did speak to yet those two same staff members that you have, and the conversation got very uncomfortable when I asked about the diversity and the inclusion of Northlight, and that you all have had some heat in the past about diversity and inclusion. So do you want to speak to that to the community?
Sure. I mean, I think that we have, I would say in the last 2 or 3 years, and during the pandemic, have made a major effort, and frankly, a goal of ours is to further diversify our company. 25% of our trustees are BIPOC. 24% of our staff now, and that wasn't the case when we started the pandemic, are BIPOC, and I think that's an important. Almost 60% of our teaching artists are. So that it does take some time to turn that around. But we've always been very diverse on our stage. We've always worked with playwrights of color. Always have, always will. We have increased that in the last 3 or 4 years. We're very aware of what the needs are in the community, but we're also very aware of what the needs are in the artistic world, and what has to change. So I feel we're making progress. It's not as fast as some of us would like, but the pandemic slowed us down a little bit. Not an excuse, but something that I think we can accelerate now that we are almost. I feel like we're going to be out of this, at least from a production and hiring point of view here in the next 6 months or so. So as I said, they're specialized jobs in some cases. In some cases, the pool of people that are able to do the jobs can be small, but we've specifically kept job postings open so that we would have more candidates of color. And we that's just a policy that we have now, that we really seek that, and we'll continue to do that and make those hires whenever we can.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. When you all were looking for the community engagement, um, the I don't want to call out the 2 employees, but the 2 employees you had, they were like, "Oh, well, no one from Evanston applied." I'm like, "We have so many here. Are you kidding? Like, where did you post it? Where?" Like, I'm
Well,
trying
we
to
actually
understand.
sure, and I'll speak to that. I mean, we actually posted it in Evanston. We posted it on many of the theater community sites, and this wasn't really a community engagement director by any means. The job that we were seeking, and the job description was more of an educational job that was, and frankly, an administrative job. And we did hire a person of color for that job. That person had resided in Texas. He actually was from Florida. Not that that's, uh, helps, but I think he's working with a lot of the community organizations that we work with right now, from Youth Job Center to Family Focus to Evanston Scholars, to YOU, and that person is really doing more administrative work than actually being a community engagement, director or management. We hope to get to that at some point, but what we needed in that position, and it was probably defined so broadly that it probably made you wonder what we were looking for. But that job is really about administering a lot of the programming that we do with those organizations, scheduling, calendars, that kind of stuff, and with our students as well. We bring a lot of students into the theater when we're open, and there's all sorts of administrative work that has to go along with that. So I understand your concern, and I spoke to a number of folks about it, and thus, it's important to get the word out into the community about these positions when they occur. So that's why we're looking to bring in a local recruitment group that can specifically talk to us about Evanstonians.
Perfect, perfect. And I watched the latest economic and development meeting, and Aux is up for a vote, and so is Northlight. So you all are up for, well, the committee passed $2 million of the ARPA funds.
Mhm.
You had one council member, so you got 4 yes votes and 1 no vote,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
So the 1 no vote was Council Member Devon Reed, and his thing was on return on investment. Um, and and I've heard talks in the community like, well, Northlight is very successful, and why do they need ARPA funds, especially $2 million? And there's so many other businesses here in Evanston who will probably never raise that kind of money, or the kind of money that Northlight raises. So what, speak to that.
Sure. Well, like I said before, building a theater is an expensive undertaking in the sense that it's very specialized in terms of what has to happen in that certainly in the stage house. As you know, there are acoustical issues, there's spatial issues, there are sight lines that you have to consider, and all of those things require, we'll say, consultants to come in and make sure that the audience experience is exactly the way you want it to be. So that's the first thing, is that we're going to value engineer this building so that it's affordable to us, but also of quality and feels like it's a place that Evanstonians can embrace as well. I think one of the things that we do bring, because you heard this in economic development as well, that we bring $56 million in new spending in the first 5 years of our existence in Evanston, which is a lot of money, and a really stimulus for the area. We also bring in, because of that 56 million in over 5 years, we bring in about $450 million. I'm sorry, $450,000 in tax revenue. So those are just the numbers of what happens in the first 5 years. We need to raise $25 million. We are to make this happen. We are working with individuals. We are working with foundations. We are working with federal agencies as well to get ourselves to that goal. But the two of the things that are important to us is that we were asked to apply for $2 million in ARPA funds from the city, and so we did, and the 2 million represents about 8%. Pardon me?
The city asked you to apply?
They did, yes.
Yeah.
This was when they first found out they were going to receive this money. I think it was last summer. So we put together a proposal at $2 million based on being asked to do this, because I think the city felt it was important to have a stimulus and certainly a destination driver in downtown Evanston, not unlike the movie theaters, which we would be. But I've lost my train of thought, sorry. But I think that the 2 million represents, of our total raise, it represents about 8% of our need. And it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But I think the return on investment that we would be able to bring building this theater and having help from the city is significant. Like I said, we bring in $450,000 in the first 5 years of new tax revenue. So that's not insignificant. That actually, for $2 million, for your $2 million investment, that's a rate of return of about 22%. So that's one thing. The other thing is that we have major donors who are individuals and others who are interested in seeing that the city has participation in this building and in the future of downtown. And many of them feel like it would be a show of good faith not only just for us, but for the city, the downtown area, to invest in something that's going to bring 50,000 people downtown every year. So those are the reasons, and that we were asked to ask for the $2 million. And I think, of course, that it's a good investment, because I think we can really stimulate the economy in Evanston. And it brings us home, and it allows us to do more of the community work that we do. The work we do in the community now with all of these nonprofit organizations from Evanston and all the schools that we work with in Evanston, we touch every ward in Evanston. So our work in the high school touches every ward. We're in 7, 8 District 65 schools. We're in 10, 12 different community organizations, some of which I mentioned, including the Levy Center and the Foster Center. So we can do more of that work by being in Evanston and nearby, and have this building be a place for all of those partners to come gather, do workshops, training, et cetera. So there's a lot of ripple effects to this building. We like to say it's not about the building, it's about the impact of the building. So we feel that it will have a great impact for all of Evanston.
And you guys have raised quite a bit already. Well, to me, quite a bit.
Well, it's sure. We've raised a little over $10 million out of the $25 million that we have to raise. And we did that during a pandemic, which is, as you know, challenging and a lot of work, but we've had great support from the Evanston residents, and I think that's only going to increase. And I think a show of support from the city itself will only help us get closer to the goal of getting a shovel in the ground and getting this project up and built for everyone to enjoy and take advantage of.
Okay. Well, I know I told you I'll have you for 30 minutes, and we're already
That's
there.
fine.
It went so
I can
fast.
hang if you want me to.
It went so fast. So just to recap, so the 2 million is it's an investment to Northlight, because you're projecting you're bringing in so much more within the next 5 years after it's built, that it'll pretty much double, triple what you bring back.
Pretty much, and more than that. I mean, there are, besides the dollars itself, and again, they're not insignificant, of course, but we'll also we'll help to revive businesses in downtown Evanston. We'll help to bring in new businesses. We'll help with activity in downtown Evanston, creating a more welcoming place. As you know, you've been to the theater, and we do work that touches everybody, and it's something that's really important to people's lives. You being in the arts, you know that the arts have this amazing impact on people. It brings people together for conversations, and right, and it touches our humanity. And for the kids, it stimulates imagination, which is in short supply these days, I think. And schools and kids are having a tough time in school, remote learning, et cetera. And bringing them into the theater, we've had so many young people come to the theater here in Skokie that had never been to theater before, and you just see them, suddenly light up in a way that they've never lit up before. That's only going to get better when we get to Evanston and really serve the whole community. So that's part of the investment as well, I would say.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tim. And
Malika, nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know everyone is excited about you all coming. I know I am, because again, the weekends are going to be really fun now when you all get going, because we'll have concerts and theater and dinner and dancing and music. So I think Toby Sachs said it best. He said, "The arts make us human." So you feel something with the arts when you're watching a performance. So, you know, we're happy to have you all back and looking forward to all the commitments that you all have made for diversity, inclusion, engaging Evanston and employing Evanstonians. We're looking forward to all of that. So,
Absolutely. We're excited to come home.
all right. Thank you so
Great.
much, Tim.
Malika, thank you. Talk
All
again.
right.
Bye-bye.
This is Malika, Evanston Live TV. That was Tim Evans of Northlight Theater. You all stay tuned for more.